When you add normal fractions, let's say 3 over 4 plus 7 over 8, you will need to find a common denominator, which is a number below the line that all of the original denominators, the 4 and the 8, can divide into. Now typically it could be something like 16, because 4 can go into 16 and 8 can go into 16 as well. However, we normally want to find the lowest common denominator, which is in this case 8, because 8 can divide into itself and 4 can divide into 8. So the lowest common denominator is 8, although 16 is also considered a common denominator, but it's not the smallest one. So what we'll have to do then is to multiply the 4 by 2 to change it into 8, so that we've got 8s all across the line below the line. And then just remember, what you do at the bottom you must also do at the top, which means this fraction has now changed into 6 over 8. The second fraction remains, in this case, 7 over 8, but if it had to be 16, you would have multiplied there by 2 and just by 2 above the line as well, if it was 16, and obviously then that would be multiplied by 4 and 4. But in this case, 8 is the lowest common denominator, so we'll stick with that, and then just put the plus there because there was a plus originally. Since you've got the numbers below the line now exactly the same, you can just add the numbers on the top, which will give you 13 over 8, which is an improper fraction, and it can be changed to a mixed number by just saying 8 can go into 13 once, and what remains is 5 over 8 there. So there's the mixed number, changed from the improper fraction. But the technique with adding fractions is the lowest common denominator. And that's the important thing, because if we now look at adding mixed numbers, we will do exactly the same. So if you have 2 and 3 over 4 plus 4 and 7 over 8, what you'll have to do is to change both of those mixed numbers into improper fractions first. Sometimes you are taught, or some textbooks advise, that you add the whole number portions first, and then you'll get 6, and then you add the fraction portions, which will give you another 13 over 8, or then 1 and 5 over 8. Then you have to remember to add that 1 to the 6 that you got when you added the 2 and the 4. And only then do you add the fraction component. Now, there's nothing mathematically wrong with that, but it does leave a whole lot of loopholes where you can make a serious mistake if you forget something along the line, or you forget to add that whole number portion to the original sum of the whole numbers. So what we'll advise to do is to not do that technique, but to just change to improper fractions first and then add fractions like we did initially. Just add the fractions like normal. So we'll convert from the mixed number by multiplying the denominator with the number at the front and then adding the top part. So 4 times by 2 is 8, and 8 plus 3 is 11 over 4. And then for the second fraction we'll do exactly the same thing as well. 8 times by 4 is 32, plus 7 is 39 over 8, and there was a plus, so there is still a plus. Now we see the numbers below the line are not exactly the same, but we know how to change them into the lowest common denominator. We'll just multiply by 2 there and on top as well. Always do remember to do the same on top as what you did at the bottom when changing any of the portions of a fraction, as in this case. So then the 2 times by 11 will give us 22 over 8 plus 39 over 8. Now the numbers at the bottom are exactly the same, so we can just add the numbers on the top, which will give us 61 over 8. And then we can change that improper fraction back to a mixed number. So 8 can go into 61 7 times, because 7 times by 8 is 56, and what remains then is 5 over 8. And there we've got 7 and 5 over 8, which is exactly what you would have gotten if you added the 2 and the 4 and the 1. That would have given you 7 and 5 over 8. However, this technique is safer because you are using a standard technique that you should be familiar with, the lowest common denominator, and then just changing at the end rather than trying to remember what portions of what numbers you need to add, although both of these techniques are quite correct.